Welcome to the Onstage Podcast, where we deep dive into the power of music and entertainment. To be honest with you, I want to marry an opera singer.
Oh, why so? That's very interesting.
Because I'm a tenor and I sing opera, and I haven't had anybody to sing with a duet, like, do like the prayer, for instance. Have you heard the prayer?
That's the name of a song?
Yeah, it's by Andrea Bocelli and Celine Dion.
Okay. I'd probably, if I hear it, I would recognize it.
It goes
Probably.
like I'd say you'll be all right. Dude, that starts like that. No.
I love, boy, even that 3-second little snippet. I love your voice. Why don't we just have this podcast? I'll sit back and you can sing for me. How does that sound?
Okay, I'll sing some Britney Spears for you. Babe, that doesn't make sense.
So have you been singing all your life?
I actually started when I was a child. I was 7 years old, and my brother and I used to perform all the musical numbers on, like, Jesus Christ Superstar. We would be the parts, and we'd sing, and then we would have these other musicals. We love musicals. We purchased them on vinyl records, and we just did our thing on the living room carpet in front of my mom and stuff. And
Nice.
then, but I'm the only one actually pursued music. I got 5 or more years of vocal training. I sing like Italian opera, German, some French.
Wow.
So, and I started this podcast 3 years ago because during the pandemic, and everyone's going online, just many podcasts started. And the pandemic hit opera singers, so they all had to do their concerts online. They couldn't really perform because they closed those down. But now everyone's up and at 'em doing all their performances again. And my
Yeah.
podcast is in its 3rd year
Nice.
already, and I want to get out there and do some more performing. With an opera.
Well, if you come on out to the West Coast, you're in Toronto, is that
I'm in
correct?
Toronto, Canada. I have a nephew in New
Okay.
York City, and I my sister's in LA, but I've never been to San Francisco. So
People don't realize if they're not familiar with the West Coast. If I were to drive to LA, it may take me 6 or 7 hours, and then you'd have another 2.5 hours to get to San Diego. It's a long state. So, but it's I was born and raised out here. My whole family's from New York, but as much as I love New York, I'm a true Californian. I don't think I'd survive in New York.
okay. Do we not believe who we have here? Rocky Michaels. He's a professional singer-songwriter, recording artist. In early life, he began playing piano at age 5, developed songwriting skills throughout high school. His debut album, The Great American Dream, which was released in 2020, and his second album, Music for My Soul, and his third album, Wishes, is winner of Album of the Year, Elite Music Awards, June of this year. He's got some really great songs out there. Better Man, which reached #1 on the UK Talk Radio Hot 100 charts, and Unforgettable Truth. And it's interesting how it's adopted as the anthem for the book Unsheltered, Voices from the Street. Amazing. Like, how many artists out there get their songs being, adopted for a book?
First of all, thank you so much for having me, Chris.
You're welcome.
I've been doing my homework and watching some of your podcasts, so I enjoy it and appreciate what you do. So that last reference, an uncomfortable truth, it was interesting. I wrote that song. A lot of my songs are lighthearted, uplifting. That's it's a song sung from the perspective of a homeless person, and I think we've all experienced homelessness in one form or another. And, I want to help them, but I can't help them all. So I wrote this song, and literally 2 weeks before the song was to be released, I was surfing, and I think on LinkedIn, I saw this book endeavor for homelessness in America. And so I reached out to the author and I said, hey, I admire what you're doing. By the way, I have this song I'm going to release that I think might be really compatible for the message you're trying to convey, and I'm happy to share it with you. No cost or anything like that if you feel it might be of value. And sure enough, they embraced it, and it became an anthem for the marketing rollout. So sometimes, it wasn't by design, but sometimes just being in the right spot at the right time and fortuitous luck.
I also love the way that you also Male Artist of the Year and the Best Music Video is Best Part of Living. Can you share actually your songwriting process for Best Part of Living and An Uncomfortable Truth, which we know now is adopted as the anthem book Unsheltered? What song was the most difficult one to create, and how does it start in your head?
Wow. Okay. So much. I'm not sure which song was the most difficult. I can tell you which song was the easiest, but I'll get to that in a moment. There are many ways to go about songwriting. I'm not sure if my way is necessarily the right way, but it seems to work for me. I like to think I'm an open book. Sometimes I'll think of a theme or a song, or I'll be doodling. It's my technical term. I'll doodle on the guitar or piano, and I come across a lick or a melody that sounds catchy. And then the key for me is I always ask myself, okay, what emotion does it invoke? Does it bring about nostalgia or joy or sadness? And so I've got fragments on my smartphone, thanks to modern technology, of all these different song ideas. I'll wake up at 3 a.m, I'll have an idea, and I'll rush to the bathroom and sing something so I don't wake anyone up and I don't forget it. And every now and then, whether it's with a theme or melody, I'll keep coming back to it. And I never know when inspiration is going to hit me, so I'm always trying to jot down little ideas, and I'll get back to it later. Of all the songs, and next month, actually in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be releasing, I think it's my 32nd song. There's only been one song that I've started and finished in one sitting, and that was the song Better Man. And I kept trying to go back to it and edit it over and over, but I could not find anything to change. And after a while, I threw my hands up. I said, you know what? Perhaps it's meant to be. And that was a song that, for me, it sounds corny, but it's sincere. It's all about trying to make connections. When you share a song, or at least for me, I will often share my vulnerabilities. I don't know if others are going to get what I'm saying, the message I'm trying to convey. But if and when they do, it's really the greatest gift in the world. So Better Man was a song. It's really for anyone in a relationship, and you find that you're living for more than just yourself. And the response I've received back has just been so heartwarming that makes me feel really wonderful.
Would you consider Better Man a love song?
Yeah, I'd say it's a rock ballad. I started on piano. Some songs I have, piano orientation. Other times it's guitar. This was a piano song. Starts out just in piano, but then it kicks in, full dynamics. And I'll just mention, if anyone's listening, almost all of my songs have music videos. If you don't have Spotify or you don't have a subscription to Apple, you can always go to YouTube, and for free, just type in Rocky Michaels music, and you can listen to my songs and see the videos. So that's a free way to check out the songs.
So when you look at a homeless person, does the song An Uncomfortable Truth enter your head quite a lot because you're associating homeless people with that song?
I didn't think consciously about it. It's just, we are all products of our life experiences. And, I've lived a little bit, and, I've come across homeless people every now and then. And one of the taglines of the song is, I am you and you are me. And really the message is, if you see someone, the reality is, Chris, we don't know what their story is. We don't know what road they might have traveled to get to where they are. Maybe they're they've lost a job or they've had some health issues. And so, I'm guilty of it too. I think we're quick to judge, but hopefully it was intended to be a reminder for a little humility and understanding along the way. So that was kind of how it formed. When I start out, I don't always know how it's going to end. I almost try to let go and see where the song takes me. And that might sound strange, but I don't try to force it. I will edit it over and over, but initially I kind of let it sort of drive me to a point where I have something to say.
So, Rocky, if you walk into a room, what theme song would you want to have playing?
If I walk into a room, what theme song? That is a great way of asking what are some songs that have moved me or inspired me. So I've never heard it phrased that way. So kudos to you. There's so many songs. I grew up in the 70s listening to Simon and Garfunkel and the Eagles and James Taylor. I think I didn't realize it at the time, but I really had an affinity for great songwriting and the folk singer-songwriter. Even Billy Joel as a young piano guy, I thought, hey, that's so cool. But to answer your question, if I had to choose one song, a couple of years ago, I had a health scare and I'm totally fine now. But it was a close call. And shortly after that, Tim McGraw released a song called Live Like You Were Dying.
Yeah, I love that song.
And it was just the timing of that song and the message of the song on the heels of what I had just experienced that really just kind of captured my heart. And so that's had a special place in my heart, that particular song. So that's kind of become my mantra. We have an expression in our household, YOLO, you only live once.
Yeah.
Just go out and you can sleep when you're dead. So just go out and try to make the most of your life right now. And we've only got one life to live.
I like that. I'm so sorry you had to go through that, because you're at the point where, something's really happening here. And you're like thinking, what's my family going to do without me and all this? And suddenly it's sort of like you're given a second chance at life. That's what the whole song Live Like You Were Dying, because it's about Tim's father who found out that he had cancer,
right,
and all the things he went out and do, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
And I'm looking at your album Wishes, and there's a song on there called Be the Change. That's interesting, because we had a lady by the name of Lily Mott who actually has a podcast called Be the Change Network. So I want to know, what was the song process for Be the Change, and what experience did you go through when you wrote that? Is that what you were feeling when you had this health scare, or is that a totally different time in your life?
No, that was recent. That was the Be the Change was just a year or 2 years ago. I was trying to find something inspirational. So much of what I've been writing the past several years, I'm writing it for my family. I've got two amazing boys at home, or they're not at home. One's out, not at home anymore. But I'm trying to offer dad's goofy words of wisdom to them. And so a lot of my songs, I like to think it's kind of a living diary of my thoughts. So Be the Change, I don't know how I initially came upon it, but the analogy is, if you have a pebble and you throw a pebble into the water, what happens? Well, it starts to make waves, and it might seem seemingly small and insignificant, but those ripples become bigger and bigger and bigger. And so really it's kind of a metaphor. The message is, small changes, regardless how, again, insignificant we think that might be, can create bigger positive changes. So that was, I then expanded that concept to the song Be the Change, Be the Wind. And that was sort of how that song came about.
So a lot of musicians do write songs relating to an experience, and from songs from the Great American Dream, the song One Step Back Explain that one.
I'm always intrigued by which songs you land on because every song has its own story and its own personality. It's kind of like children, you know. I love all my songs equally. Some days I love some songs more equally than others. So One Step Back was a song, another relationship song. I don't have a lot of relationship songs, but that one is one of them. Just offering perspective, you know, for every 2 steps forward, take 1 step back and just notice all the beauty in around. I think sometimes, and again, I'm guilty of it, we're just going through life, you know, running through life, racing for gold and, you know, this and that, and we got to do this, got to do that. And there's so much we have all around us, wherever you are, just that I think we take for granted, or I'm guilty of taking for granted. So it's a reminder often to myself to take that step back and, you know, taking all the beauty all around. So that was the song One Step Back.
What do you want people to take away from with your music, like One Step Back or Book of Memories or This Is You, This Is Me? What do you want them to take away from these songs?
This has been such a rewarding journey for me, really, the past several years since I started releasing songs. Honestly, the biggest thing for me is to try to find connection. Again, it sounds hokey, but I'm being 100% sincere. You know, especially these times, there's just such divisive times we're living in, and such vitriol and hate, and it's unfortunate. I think music in general is that great common thread that can unite us all, you know, regardless of our geographical difference or ethnic or political differences. You know, we can all relate to music. So, you know, what I'm trying to do is share my honest feelings, you know, my vulnerabilities, put it out there. And if I can find connection, and some of the greatest memories I have are when I'm performing out, even if there are just a handful of people in the crowd and they're nodding along, like as if to say, yeah, I get it. I feel that way too. I mean, that's, you know, it's those connections more than, you know, ever selling out Yankee Stadium or making $1 million. I mean, it's making those connections that are really the most rewarding aspect of it to me.
Well, when you play your songs, what's your mindset? Like you're playing, for instance, Somewhere from your album, Songs from the Great American Dream. Like, how do you get into the mood? You don't just grab your guitar from the wall and start playing. This got to be something you do, because you don't want to be playing something you're like, usually when I start singing, sometimes I go through a song and I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like singing this right now. And I'll just turn everything off. But other times it's like, oh, my voice is there. My voice is there. I get, okay. And then I will go, okay, come on. I got to, I'll sing this song. And then, whoa, and I'll just belt it out. And I'll say, maybe I can do a second one. And by the time I get to the third one, I'm like, you know what? No. And I walk away again.
First of all, I just love that you're name dropping my songs. That's awesome. So you mentioned Somewhere. So again, every song has a story. When I play out, oftentimes Somewhere will be the name of the song is called Somewhere. That'll be the last song that I play, because that particular song is a song about hope and inclusion and, you know, building those bridges somewhere. I'm hoping there will be somewhere for you and me. So to answer your question, I'm not perfect when I play out. I'll make mistakes. I get like so many others. I've sort of gotten past that, and it's easy because the songs are mine. They came from me. It's a lot easier to write and sing and perform songs that are within me. You know, I'll also play covers because not everybody knows Rocky Michael's music songs, so I'll throw out some popular covers, and they're fun. I love doing that. But it's a lot easier to just exude that just genuine emotion when the song was born from within me, and I know what I'm trying to express. And so, you know, if I'm off key a little bit or I miss a note, you know, I'll close my eyes and this is my song, world. You know, I hope you can, you know, get a nugget or two out of it, and that's how I go about it.
How do you know that song somewhere is completed? Like when you started writing it, how do you know that this is the last line, this is the last lyric, this is the last word, we're done? Well, did you ever come to that conclusion?
Yeah, it's been a process, and it continues to be a process. As I mentioned earlier, only one song I wrote in one sitting, and that was Better Man. But all other songs, I will put something down. I'll come back to it. It might take weeks or months. I mean, I have fragments that I've had for years. I don't try to place a time limit on it. Uh, I will. I'm a big believer in putting something down and looking at it with fresh eyes. A day or a week later, um, and I think it's just kind of a gut instinct. To date, I have not collaborated. For better or for worse, I've just written all my songs myself, but I'm totally open to collaborating if anybody out there wants to. I wasn't quite sure how to go about it, but I guess I haven't had a shortage so far of ideas. And so I'm just, I don't know if I'm doing it right or wrong. I'm just doing it. And eventually I get to a point where I just can't think of any more edits. I've set it down. I look at it, fresh eyes. And at some point you have to, fish or cut bait, as they like to say.
And then who would you like to collaborate with then if you could?
Oh my goodness. You mean in my dream world? Well, like I mentioned, I've had such such an affinity for songwriters. I grew up in Paul Simon, Simon and Garfunkel, James Taylor. Um, so, from a songwriting collaboration, I mean, those would be some dream names. Um, I think I'm open. The key, since I haven't collaborated yet, I don't really know what the process is like. How much give and take there is, and is someone going to be dominating more? So I think I've been a little naive as to how to go about finding that collaborative process, but I'm open to it. So never. Oh, here's our dog. You saw the top of him there. Sorry. I'm not only is this a man cave, but part of the deal is it's also we have a doggy door here, so it's got to go out. So he shares a man cave with me. Anyways, I digress.
Yeah. What's your favorite covers to perform?
Uh, it's funny you asked that. Oftentimes, if I play out, I'll play for 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours. So that's a lot of songs. Uh, I went back a while ago and I counted the artists, how many times I played an artist's song more than once, twice. The most covered artist that I came up with, again, not by design, but it just happened to be Simon and Garfunkel.
Mm.
Some other songs, The Boxer, la 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 la, which is everybody knows that, and whatever they're doing, they turn around and they start singing. It's just one of those catchy parts of the song. I've got a lot of Eagles songs. I grew up just really enjoying the Eagles, James Taylor. I've got a wide mix. I've got some current songs, some country songs, some pop songs, but it's mostly just folk singer-songwriter songs. When I play out, I'm typically just performing by myself. Out here, wineries are a really great compatible venue for me. There's so many wineries here. I'm pretty close to Napa. And so it's just kind of that singer-songwriter folk vibe that I think I try to exude. Our dog's name is Jackson, by the way. So
Jackson, like Jackson Brown.
Thank you. I was going to say, when we got him, he's 10 years old. I would call him just for fun Jackson Brown, and my kids at the time they're like, "What?" So it was a great opportunity to introduce my children to the amazingly talented Jackson Brown. He's part of that whole 70s singer-songwriter folk vibe.
What do you think of David Bowie's song Heroes?
Ooh, I think of, was it late 80s or early 90s? Kind of pop. not really rock or he's an amazing musician. He's unique. When he comes on, that's him. Um, I'd have to go back and listen to that song again. And I have not heard that song for a while. I know which song you're referring to. I love his lyrics though from some of his songs that I am familiar with. So, yeah.
Well, I asked that because you have your own song, Heroes. Can you
Yes.
give me a little bit of background on that one?
Yes. Around the time I wrote that, that's the most recent song I think that has been released. So it hasn't been that long ago that I started to write that. And I was watching an award show on TV. I don't recall if it was the Grammys or Emmys or something like that. I love watching award shows. And all of these, the Hollywood elite are coming up and accepting their awards for their acting jobs. And that's great. I mean, they do fantastic jobs. I love movies. But around the same time, there were some natural disasters going on in the world. I don't recall if it was the wildfires out here in California or something. And the contrast between, the Hollywood actors accepting these awards and these everyday heroes, the firemen and the doctors and nurses doing their job, just really inspired me to pay homage, pay tribute to the heroes, the unsung heroes, the average Joes and the everyday Joes, average Janes. And so that's how that song came about.
Yeah. Who's the hero?
I'll add, so for the music video, which again, you can watch for free on YouTube, I thought it would be kind of fun to find a rooftop somewhere, thinking of the old Spider-Man movies, with the up on the rooftop. Yeah. And so the closest big city is San Francisco. So they have some publicly accessible rooftops that you can go to. So I got up early one Saturday morning. I schlepped all my gear. Parking's a real hassle in San Francisco, but I had my guitar and my gear, and I'm walking across the cable car tracks, and I got to the rooftop, and it was a beautiful blue sky Saturday morning, and no one was up there. And so I was able to shoot some video footage and had my tripod. And, nowadays, if you have a smartphone and a tripod, you can do so much. So that's kind of what I did for that song.
Yeah, that's great. Wow. So I want to ask you about your charity work. Now, you work for ASPCA. That's why you have a dog. Supports the prevention of cruelty to animals. And you also did charity work for the Humane Society, advocate for ending animal suffering. Can you give me an idea why you're into these two charities?
Yeah, so I don't necessarily work for them, but I'm a supporter of animal rights. We live in an area, we're on a hillside, and every day just about we can see deer and turkey and rabbits. Sometimes they'll come right onto our grass, onto our lawn. And my wife and I reminded our children, they were all here first before the suburban area got built up. And so I had a dog growing up, and the dog has been one of the greatest gifts. It's so funny. We have two boys. They're amazing young men. As I was at their age, we all try to act cool when we were young boys. But when the dog walks in the room, they just melt. And it's just something about the unconditional love of an animal, of a dog. And so I've always had a special devotion to try to donate and support, again, animal causes.
I take it this includes veganism. Are you a vegan as well?
There's so many titles out there. I guess if I were to, I might be a pescatarian. So I would eat burgers and hot dogs, all throughout college. But yeah, I don't eat red meat, just my own personal philosophical reasons. I'll eat fish, I'll eat eggs. I try to get some protein supplements, but I don't. No disrespect. I mean, we all have to do whatever we want to do. Just for me personally, I just made the choice a few years ago not to eat anything that basically has four legs. That's the way I can describe it.
Does this have anything to do with your your health scare that you decided to change your diet as well?
No. I like to think I've always been fairly healthy. I'll just share with you. I was a young, fit, 30 some odd year old, and I went out for a morning jog, and I collapsed with a ruptured brain aneurysm.
Oh,
And it was just, my internal plumbing was just such that happened. So, um, statistically, I shouldn't be here, or at least have all my faculties. Although sometimes, my wife will say
wow.
that. But so I'm totally fine. That was many years ago. Um, I've gone on. I've done some sporting races, and everything's fine. Um, but to answer your question, no, my choice for my not eating meat is just more for my own, again, philosophical reasons. It didn't have anything to do with my health back then.
Okay. And I find that you're part of the American Cancer Society. Like, you support cancer research and patient care. I like to hear about that.
Sure. Well, like so many of us, cancer has infiltrated our immediate circle. My wife just last year was diagnosed, or maybe a year and a half ago, with cancer, and she's doing great now. She is an amazing trooper and role model. So it's easy to donate to causes, especially when you have a personal connection. And fortunately, I have an opportunity to. We have an opportunity to donate, and so that's how that came about. I've done a number of performances.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think. I've performed at senior residence communities, just for free, just to bring some light to the senior community.
You did a Music Beats Cancer. You raised funds for cancer research through music. Can you give a little bit of explanation on that one?
Yes. I can't believe I forgot that. So I didn't initiate that. That I somehow came in contact, or someone reached out to me. There was this cause, offering, sharing music to support cancer research. So it's all coming back to me now. So it seemed like, my goodness, I'm a musician. I write songs. This is for cancer. What a perfect marriage. So I participated, and along with other musicians, and I just put it out there and raised some funds. And that was a couple years ago, but I think it's still going on. But yeah, like as I just said, music and cancer, it's, of course, how could I say no to that? How could I forget that?
So, what do you think of Greta Thunberg's advocacy for climate change? Did you follow her? Did you follow any of her ideas?
This is a wide net of questions you're throwing out there. You're keeping me on my toes. I am a huge supporter of climate change. In fact, you're teeing it up for me. I have a song, my environmentally conscious song, called "Our Time Is Now." I joke it's made with recycled lyrics. Thank you. That's a stupid joke. But no, that came about, I think, before I even knew about Greta and the cause that she was doing. It's just, again, particularly out here, we deal with wildfires, and even right now, what's going on, with the hurricanes and tornadoes. Texas is getting hit hard. So we all share this earth, and we all need to do whatever we can to affect, positive change. So song "Our Time Is Now" was my tribute and message to support climate change.
Those mammals are dying each day. If the sun is the source and father's the time, and mother's the earth, who's now past her prime. So everyone rise up, our time is now.
it's kind of interesting. Like when 9/11 happened, it would have been the fact that you would have written a song about that, probably.
Yeah. So let's see. That was 23. It's funny. Our son was 2 months old at the time. Our oldest son was 2 months old. He was born in July of 2020, uh, 2001. I think I was a little preoccupied with being a new parent and just, oh my goodness, what's going on in the world. It may have formed, other songs and ideas down the road, but at that time I was a little distracted with the world and not as much with my music.
And like doing all this stuff, how do you deal with your mental health? Like, what are some things you can do to keep you sane and focused?
I'm still working on it. I think we all need to have outlets, whatever that may be. Some people golf or this or that. I'm not a golfer. I love to exercise. Might see in the corner, I've got a little bike there. There we go, my indoor bike. So that's just a great outlet. And in fact, so often I'll be, on the bike or jogging or something. And, when you're driving, sometimes you go into autopilot mode where you have a higher state of awareness, but your mind is free and clear. So when I'm exercising, sometimes that's when a lot of great ideas will come to me. It's that higher state of awareness, but I'm kind of zoning at the same time and my mind is open. So I will come up with so many ideas and lyrics and themes while exercising. But I think just having an outlet of any kind, just we all need that balance. It's therapeutic. So for me, that's what it is.
Does that have anything to do with, like, sometimes you get a writer's block or you lack inspiration when writing a song? Is there something you can do to get back into your mindset? Okay, I'm going to write this song and I'm going to do it now.
That hasn't worked for me. Maybe others can do it, but if I try to force it, it usually is unsuccessful. So if I'm getting writer's block, and I do, I will give it my best college try, but then after a while, I will just put it down. I will do something else, and I will come back to it the next day or a few days later. Like I said, the nice thing about being an independent songwriter is there's really no deadline. There's no timeline. I'm kind of my own boss. So if it takes me a few extra days or weeks or months to write a song, so be it. I want it to be organic. I don't want it to be fabricated. I don't want it to be rushed. And whatever timeline is involved, so be it.
You ever tempted to use artificial intelligence, like music machines like Suno or Udio, or to write a song?
No, I'm feeling old. I haven't even heard of those two things you just announced. I know AI is all around now and we see it more and more. I've yet to kind of jump into that. I can see that changing the landscape of not just the music industry, but just about any other, all aspects of the world. I'm kind of an old timer. When I play out, I still have sheet music with my, plastic dividers. I mean, I don't even use an iPad. So in that regard, I'm still a little old school, but, and kudos to those who do that, and maybe I will in the future. But like I said before, I for better or for worse, I haven't had a shortage of ideas, and so I'm just going to kind of run with what I'm doing and enjoy the journey.
What if someone found one of your songs on Spotify, for instance? They took the song Eagle from your Great American Dream, and they took your voice from it, which you can do with AI, and they got you singing a Britney Spears song or Taylor Swift song, and you heard it on the radio, and you're like, wait, that's me. That's me. What would your reaction be?
No one has asked me that before. I'm not gonna. I don't think I would be too disappointed. I'd almost be honored or flattered a little bit. I mean, I don't see that happening. But it does make you wonder when you hear things now or see quotes or see pictures, is that real? It's getting harder to distinguish between reality and fake news. But you did drop another song there. I love that. So I'll just mention real quickly, Eagle has two meanings to it. And there's a video for that as well. One, I've always been fascinated by flying. When I was a kid, I would always have dreams about flying, flying over the rooftops and I just remember it so vividly. So it's a song about just wanting to rise above the fray, figuratively and literally. And here's what I think is kind of cool. It also doubles as a tribute to one of my favorite bands, the Eagles. Mm-hmm. And if anyone's a true Eagles fan out there, I challenge you. I do drop a couple of references to some of the iconic lyrics in the song Eagle, second half of the song. So listen to it and see how many you can pick out.
And we'll link all your songs down below in the description of the video. And just, these songs are so inspirational. It's amazing. So you mentioned about Tim McGraw earlier on in the conversation. Is he one of your musical influences?
Well, that was a song that the timing was just such that that song "Live Like You Were Dying" came out right after my health scare. So, but I love him. I mean, just different artists appeal to me for different reasons. Tim. There might be other vocalists that are stronger than he is, but he's got such this cool dude vibe about him. Man, that dude's got it going on. And so just his stage presence, and he chooses his songs very carefully, and I respect that. And he's just a great showman. My influences growing up, again, James Taylor, Simon & Garfunkel, Eagles, Billy Joel. I mean, these days, my kids have turned me on to Post Malone, and there's up and coming artist Noah Kahan, who I think was nominated for Breakout Musician of the Year for the Grammys or something like that. Zach Brown, and on the country side, Kenny Chesney. So I'm pretty wide. I have a wide range of likes. I think what's underappreciated for me, maybe being a musician, is the lyrical component. We can get caught up in a melody, which can be catchy, and that's totally cool. But I really respect someone who's able to communicate through lyrics a story that can move you with just the words. And I think that's kind of underappreciated.
Do you think your music evolved since your first album to your latest release, Wishes?
I hope so. I'm still learning. I joke, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. I'll look back in some of my earlier songs, more so just like my vocals. I've been constantly working on that to improve that. And even the songwriting, it's a process like anything else. The more I go, the more I can find my voice a little bit more. That sounds strange, but I think I'm more selective about what song I want to release out in the public. I've got a number of songs, but they're not all worthy of being released, at least in my mind. So I'm more selective over what do I want to put out there? How do I want to represent myself to the public with my next song? So it's been a process, but it's been a very enjoyable process, and it's just real gratifying.
So why aren't you releasing these songs? You just don't feel like it? You just don't think the time is right?
A song really has to jump out at me, and I want to feel like, okay, that's something that I'm not only am I proud of putting out, but that I think hopefully others might engage with. And so I've got songs, I wrote a song about my dog, Jackson, which is great. I don't think I'll ever release it, but it's I'll sing to him. He doesn't mind it. So, I don't think it's reasonable to release every song that I come out with. some songs just come together more effectively than others. And so I never know. When I write a song, sometimes I'll release a song and it doesn't quite get as much of a response as I thought. And other times, like Better Man, for example, I was really hesitant to put that song out because it's such a personal song. I wrote it about my wife, how she makes me better man. But I thought, yeah, I think it's a nice message to put it out there. And the response for that one has been overwhelming. So you never know sometimes what you think may or may not get a response. But I don't focus on that as much as just, again, trying to enjoy the journey, put songs out that I'm proud of, and whatever happens, happens. I hope people like it. If they don't, I respect that, and I'm going to keep doing my thing.
Well, what's your favorite song to perform?
Of mine?
Mm-hmm.
Whew. It's hard to pinpoint one. A more of a lighthearted song. It's a piano song. It's called Glory Days. It's a song about reflecting back on how my buddies and I were in a band years ago. We were, young, dumb, and free, and we thought we were invincible. And oh, those glory days, So that it's kind of an upbeat, kind of a poppy Michael Bublé kind of rock song, and it's a fun video. Actually, the video, I'll just mention real quickly. We reunited for the first time in over a decade, all five of us in the band. So in the video, I have video footage of us on the beach reuniting, interspersed with video clips of us maybe 20 years earlier when we were a band. And, we're all older and grayer and heavier. And but it was kind of fun to see little snippets of us in the band many, many years ago versus us, more or less in the current state. And so that was that's a fun one to play out.
Yeah. Do you usually have like openers and closers when you perform, or do you just randomly, okay, this is what I'm going to start with?
I'll try to have a plan starting out depending on the venue. I've played at dive bars and I've played at wineries, and it's a lot different crowd, a lot different demographics. So I might have more upbeat, energetic song for dive bars or more classics. I play an acoustic Bon Jovi song, and so it depends on the venue. I'll have a kind of a set list, but I rarely stick to it. I try to feed off the crowd. If they're into it, I love to share stories and explain what I'm doing. If I'm just kind of background music and they're having their wine and dinner and what have you, I'll kind of go a different direction. So I try to cue off the audience.
Yeah, I can imagine. And those wonderful guitars that you have on the wall, are they Fenders or Gibsons or Taylors or Spitowskis?
You're 2 for 4. You batting 500. The one up on top is a Taylor 12-string, and I also have a Taylor 6-string, which isn't in the frame. And then the one down below, I actually got for my birthday in June. My wife and children got that for me. It's my very first electric guitar. It is a
wow.
It is a Les Paul Gibson electric guitar.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Yeah,
wow.
So
that's awesome.
I've been so used to playing acoustic. I like to pick a lot of my songs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great exercise for me all of a sudden now to have an electric guitar, because it kind of opens up a whole door of possibilities. So I'm enjoying kind of puttering around on the electric guitar to see what speaks to me and what I may come up with. So stay tuned. We'll see.
Oh, yeah. Looking at the electric guitar reminds me of the scene Back to the Future where Marty McFly takes the...
Yeah.
He's got this big speaker and he just goes, vroom. And...
Right.
Could something like that actually happen?
Well, I mean, it depends on the amp, but yeah, you can get a lot of power with that electric guitar. And, but again, I'm a one-man band, and I don't, the wineries would not invite me back if I, shatter the wine glasses when I have the volume up that high. So, I'm pretty mellow, but it's fun to play around with. And I'm playing at a festival in a couple of weeks, so that's going to be maybe a larger audience.
Mhm.
And it's always every time I go out and play, I learn something new, and it's part of the joy of the journey.
How do you market yourself, Rocky? So, like, does social media play a role in your music?
I'm trying to have it do so. Among other things, I'm my own booking manager. So out here, again, there's no shortage of venues and wineries. I mentioned earlier, so many wineries, Napa and another town called Livermore, some great wineries. And that's a good compatible venue for me. And I'm reaching out. I try to have that pipeline full. And I've played at hotels. I've played at bars, like I said. So I'm continuing to do that, but I do use social media. My kids have shown me a few things about Instagram and hashtags and the best time to post. And yeah, if you ever want to learn anything about social media, ask the young, the teens and the 20-year-olds. They know all about it. So
Oh, definitely.
I'm trying.
Oh, definitely. What do you think, or would you believe would be the most challenging part of your music career, or when you started playing music? What do you think was the most challenging part?
For me, I would say the confidence in singing. I could play the piano. I was learning to play guitar. I had songs I was writing. I have a philosophy, and I try to instill that philosophy in our children. Kind of work from the bottom up. In other words, whatever you feel your weakest link is, focus most of your time and effort on that until it's no longer your weakest link, and then you focus on the next replaced weakest link. So for me, for the longest time, I've been focusing on my vocals, and I'm still focusing on vocal strength and training and
Mm-hmm.
breathing exercises. So starting out, to answer your question, that had been my weakest link. And so it was a confidence issue. I had the songs, I had my instruments, but I just had to get over my vocal lack of self-confidence when I started. And but at the same time, you only live once. And go back to the YOLO acronym. And so just going to go for it. I'm there to enjoy. I'm there to connect with people. And, if I miss a note, if I sing off key, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I'm still, it's more than worth the experience to do what I'm doing.
Have you figured out your vocal range yet, Rocky? Like, can you do a high vibrato? Like, can you do like a low bass or baritone? Have you figured out the mid range?
I should consult with you after off camera. Maybe I'll hit you up for some vocal exercises. I think I must be going through like a late adult onset puberty or something because I think my range has been capped off. I might have been overstraining my vocals, and so I'm trying to rest and just lubricate and do all these things so to make sure that I don't strain. So I've actually tuned down my guitar a half step because I think my vocal range has slightly lowered recently, if that makes any sense. I don't know if others experience that. And so, that the nice thing about, with the capo on the guitar or with the piano, you can tune it up or down or play it. And, you can change the range to fit whatever vocals, you're working with. So that's what I've been doing that recently, as a matter of fact.
What are your thoughts on how the Bee Gees were able to keep their falsetto for like 70 some odd years? Because when I was 13, I had this really high falsetto, and I can still do a falsetto, but whenever I try to conquer Love You Inside Out by Bee Gees and all those other ones, sometimes my voice will break, but they had a handle on it. What do you think is the way that you can keep your voice the way it is without it breaking during a performance? Because that would be kind of odd when you're playing and suddenly you're like, voice breaks.
Yeah, I should ask you that question. To me, it just seems like practice, 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 and rest as well. Make sure you don't underestimate the rest component, but just keep practicing. They probably, I would imagine, sang that way for many years until it just became muscle
Mm.
memory, and that's kind of what they they made those grooves in their habits and the way they sung, and it just became more natural. I think conceptually that's probably how it works.
I took vocal lessons, and it would be like, okay, be on the piano, be like, well, I think all vocal instructors do. They sit at a keyboard, a piano, and they start low and go, do do ah, do do ah, do do, all the way to the do do ah. And then if you can't make that high, then they know, okay, you're a low baritone to a high, um, I guess it's alto or tenor. So she said I was a low tenor, like a low baritone, to
Wow,
hello, you know.
that's quite a range. that's
Yeah,
that's an
but
impressive range.
when I tried to take on some Bee Gees songs, I'm like, okay, I can't do that.
What don't they sing in falsetto? I mean,
I
when they
know,
get that high.
but there's a song like Inside Out, for instance. Ah, la, and then suddenly my voice will just break, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like why don't you just kick me there, and then I'll be able to perform, you know?
Yeah, maybe it has something to do with the tight pants they wore. I don't know.
I know.
That's their secret sauce.
Yeah, that's true. So, what advice would you give to up and coming aspiring singer songwriters?
What advice would I? There are so many. There's so many goals that can be had. You can want to be. You can want to be famous. You can want to be. Get a lot of streams. You want to get a lot of
Mhm.
followers on social media. You can want to perform out and play. So, I think this is probably true in life as well. Just try to really assess what is it that drives you. What are you trying to achieve? um, if you just want to try to share music and connect with people, then just enjoy that and don't worry about how many followers you may have on social media, or how many people attend your performance, if you're getting joy out of that. So one, I think, just be realistic with your goals. And two, I think a lot of people, I've heard some others on your podcast say it, and I would endorse it. Just be authentic. You know, Speaking for myself, it's just a lot easier for me to draw from real life experiences than to try to fabricate something and make something up. And I think oftentimes people will see through that. So, whoever you are, you've your life is an embodiment of all of your life experiences. So just draw from that, and just be authentic. That's my message.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Be authentic, be genuine, and sort of like my authentic self and all this, and have that confidence to sing.
That's kind of my attitude.
Yeah, that's a good attitude.
We've only got one life. We've only got limited time to do what we can to make us happy, and make what we feel is a difference in the world. So, yeah.
One last question. What is the one piece of advice you would give to someone who's struggling musician?
Buy low, sell high. No. Well, I guess it depends on struggling. Similar to what I said before, maybe really take a step back and assess what is it that you're trying to accomplish, because artists, musicians may have different goals. Are you trying to get famous? Are you just trying to get some songs out there? Are you trying to make money? Are you trying to make a living? And they may have different paths depending on what your goal is. So really, just be honest with you. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? I love, for me, if I I just love performing out and playing and writing songs. And whether I make $1 million or $100, I mean, of course we all want to make money, but that's not my driving force. It's just enjoying being able to wake up every day and write, and not having a boss telling me, you have to write this or that. So just be honest. It's my answer again, just echoing, just be honest with what your goals are and be realistic, and don't worry about all of the things that are out of your control. Just focus on the things you can control, and it'll be a lot more enjoyable process.
Excellent piece of advice, Rocky. You hear that, everyone? Thank you for this opportunity to interview you. We're going to close this session now with Rocky Michaels. Sit right there. Okay, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Of July, when the river runs dry, to the leaves falling down all around, and the chill in the air from the December cold to the colorful blossoming ground. Though the changes come year after year, it keeps on calling your name, 'cause I feel you everywhere. You're so warm like the summer, so cool like the fall. As time keeps on going, you keep on showing it all. You're cozy like the winter, beautiful like the spring. All of the seasons and all of the reasons to sing. The sun setting earlier, late in the year, to those April rains coming down. You're a constant reminder, like stars up above. As time passes by, I have found. Oh, you fill up my days with your glorious ways. You touch me like mist in the air, and I feel you everywhere. You're so warm like the summer, so cool like the fall. As time keeps on going, you keep on showing it all. You're cozy like the winter, beautiful like the spring. You're all of the seasons and all of those reasons to sing. Months keep on going, your colors keep showing. You're with me all through the year, and I feel you everywhere. You're so warm like the summer, and so cool like the fall. As time keeps on going, you keep on showing it all. You're so cozy, you're cozy like the winter, and beautiful like the spring.